Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about a chemical compound that is so essential we literally couldn't feed the world without it. But that very same compound might be contaminating the water you drink. Let's get into it. Today, we're untangling the nitrate dilemma.
Okay, so nitrate really has this dual identity, right? A complete split personality. On one hand, it's a key ingredient for growing the food we all eat. On the other, it's become a major contaminant in our drinking water. So the big question is, how on earth can one substance be both a life-saving fertilizer and a dangerous pollutant?
To really get this, we've got to know what we're dealing with. At its most basic, nitrate is a fundamental building block for life. It's this naturally occurring ion, just a tiny charged particle, and it's absolutely essential for plants. It's what they use to build the proteins they need to grow. No nitrate, no plants. Simple as that. All right, so let's start with the good stuff, the positive side of the story. This is the part where nitrate is the hero of modern agriculture, a key player in, well, feeding the entire planet.
So the crucial point here is this. Nitrate is the star of the show in fertilizers. Why? Because it's super soluble and incredibly easy for plants to absorb. That makes it the perfect fuel for the high-yield crops that billions of us rely on every single day. We're talking billions of kilograms produced every year. I mean, to put it bluntly, without nitrate fertilizer, our modern world could not feed itself.
Now here's where the story takes a turn. What's really fascinating and a little bit scary is how this essential nutrient starts its journey from the farm fields, gets into our groundwater, and eventually ends up coming out of our faucets.
You see, the problem isn't nitrate itself. The problem is the sheer volume of it that we've pumped into the environment. By mass-producing fertilizer, we have effectively doubled the natural rate that nitrogen enters the Earth's soil. Think about that. It's one of the most significant ways humanity has altered a fundamental cycle of our planet.
And to see how this can get out of hand, just look at a commercial plant nursery. How many plants can you cram into just 1 acre? Well, how about 300,000? And every single one of those little containers gets a dose of fertilizer.
So this shows you the process perfectly. First, you get over-fertilization. The recommended rates often give the plants way more than they can actually use. So what happens to the extra? Well, it doesn't just disappear. Up to half of it can just wash away with irrigation water. That's called leaching. And finally, that leftover nitrate moves easily with the water, seeping down, down, down into the aquifer, which is our underground source of drinking water. And this has very real-world consequences. In agricultural areas, it's estimated that about 1 in 5 private wells, that's 21%, exceeds the safe limit for nitrate. And here's the kicker. These wells aren't regulated like city water is, so millions of people could be drinking contaminated water and not even know it.
Okay, so let's get to the most critical part of this story. Let's look at how this contamination directly impacts our health, creating some hidden but very, very serious risks. The clearest, most immediate danger is to the most vulnerable people in our society, infants. The most well-established health risk from nitrate is a condition with a very long name, methemoglobinemia, but it's much better known by its terrifying nickname, blue baby syndrome.
So how does this happen? Well, an infant's body chemistry is unique. It can convert the nitrate from water into something much more dangerous called nitrite. And what this nitrite does is it basically attacks the red blood cells, stopping them from doing their job of carrying oxygen around the body. That lack of oxygen is what can cause the skin to turn bluish. It's a horrible thought, and it's why infants are so uniquely at risk.
And the risks don't just stop with babies. A growing pile of scientific evidence is pointing to other really serious health problems. As you can see here, the strongest links that researchers have found are to an increased risk of colorectal cancer. But there's also strong evidence connecting high nitrate levels to things like thyroid disease and even neural tube defects in newborns. So all of this, of course, raises a really crucial question. How much is too much? What is the official safe limit for nitrate in our drinking water? Well, the World Health Organization has set a clear guideline for us. The number to remember is 50 milligrams per liter, and this benchmark was set for a very specific reason, to protect bottle-fed infants, the most sensitive group, from getting that blue baby syndrome. So, okay, we understand the problem now. The next logical question has to be, what can we actually do about it? Let's take a look at the solutions, from the farm all the way to our kitchen faucets.
The most effective strategy, not surprisingly, starts right at the source, in agriculture. They're called Best Management Practices, or BMPs, and they're all about being smarter with fertilizer. This means things like, only applying what the plant actually needs, using special controlled release fertilizers that don't wash away so easily, and even building zero runoff irrigation systems. But what about water that's already contaminated? Well, we have the technology to fix it. On a big, citywide scale, treatments like ion exchange and reverse osmosis can pull out over 80% of the nitrate. For individual homes, especially those on private wells, you can get a point-of-use reverse osmosis unit that does the job. And, fun fact, standard water disinfection is also really important because it helps convert any of that more dangerous nitrite back into the less harmful nitrate form, which can then be filtered out.
And looking even bigger, policy can drive huge systemic change. A great example is the European Union's Nitrates Directive, which has been around since 1991. It's designed to protect waters across the whole continent from agricultural pollution. It just goes to show that a big, coordinated approach isn't just possible, it can be really effective. So, we end right back where we started, with this incredibly complex challenge. The nitrate dilemma really forces us to ask a fundamental question. How do we balance the absolute need to use nitrate to feed a growing world with the equally absolute necessity of protecting our most vital resource, clean, safe drinking water?